do. And so I think that might be a starting point for where the Mastermind Group comes from, is that each one of us has our unique gifts. Some people are kind of quiet, some people are outward, but if you can take people and all of us work together with other people that have strengths that we don't have, and we can have them want to help us succeed, and we want them to succeed. I think that's the core of the Mastermind. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. And Hill wrote about, matter of fact, Hill wrote about Jesus and his disciples. He picked the disciples, and of course, each one of them served a purpose, and he knew what that purpose was. I mean, even from the one that betrayed him. That was part of the prophecy that had to be fulfilled, and you wondered about that. He talked about it in the book, but I've even thought about the thing is that this. Why did he pick different people? He picked tax collectors and fishermen and so forth and so forth, but each one of them served a purpose. He could have picked a group of rabbis who had been nothing they'd done had been but be in a building and study, and they would all have the common theme and probably not contribute much, but he got people from different walks of life, a tax collector and a fisherman and so forth, and he knew exactly what he was doing. But as a group, they served the purpose to carry out the prophecy of the Bible, which is, I think is important. And Steve, he probably wrote more on Carnegie than anybody. Carnegie's life is just amazing. Coming over here as a 10-year-old boy and working for a little more than $1 a week at the age of 10, and same as no education. But he became a part of a group, and in fact, is one of the gentlemen he worked with let the boys go by his home on Saturdays, and they could check his books out. And he became an avid reader, and that will be the secret, as far as I'm concerned, of why Carnegie gave millions and millions of dollars to set up libraries. He got his education through books, reading everything that the Western civilization on down he could get till he could get a hold of. But he formed a mastermind group. He'll explain when he wanted to develop steel, for example, he saw the industries as fragmented. Some company made a little this, and one made the other this and that. So he went to England and studied it. Now, of course, he had a very, very, very limited education, and he did not understand steel making. He didn't understand a lot of things, but he did understand the bill that you must work with other people. So he comes back and he organized his mastermind, and he said it was basically at times 20 people, a group that he picked the best chemists he could find, the steel making. He picked the best attorneys he thought, best accountants, and so forth. And he called it his mastermind group. And he said sometimes it was 50 men or more with a definite purpose of making and marketing of steel. And the competitors, people out there, they thought, he's going to create a monopoly and he's going to raise the price of steel. But if they'll go back and see their history, they'll see that he cut the price dramatically, because through his consolidation and through the use of this mastermind, he was actually able to do it much more efficiency than what had been done. And he says the power of the mastermind was what contributed to any fortune that he accumulated.
Don, and Napoleon Hill, when he was developing and writing about the mastermind, I think he started writing about it in Laws of Success first, and then about 10 years later, he got very, very much deeper with it in Think and Grow Rich. And in Laws of Success, when I've read through that many times, he talks about that invisible force that's created, the third mind. If two people come together, the mastermind creates a third invisible mind. That's very, very deep. I'd like to go back to that for a minute. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third, invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. So part of the power of the mastermind, it's almost supernatural. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes, it is. I mean, it's like 1 and 1 don't equal 2. 1 and 1 equals 4 or 10 or ever what, according to how good your selection of your mastermind is. Yeah, you create a force a lot greater than what separately they'd add up to separately, because you create a different atmosphere, a different climate. Because one of them, you would ask a question, of did we think about this, which would bring someone else to think up of something else, and it just keeps expanding until that's where we get that from him. The only limitations we have are those that we set up in our own minds, and I think we just surprise ourselves that if we get started. And of course, most people never get started. They even make plans and may even have a definite purpose, but unless they take action on them. And that's the reason it's so much easier if you have the support and the influence of someone else, even if it's your spouse, rather than having someone work against you, working in a spirit of harmony. So much more can be accomplished. He said that with his mastermind, said he was able to get out of a life of poverty and illiteracy and ignorance, and he overcome it with all three of them with the mastermind. He said in 10 years he accomplished great things, and in 25 years he made his fortune, and it was because he made him the richest man in America at the time, and he attributes it to the mastermind principle. And of course he gave other examples too. He gave Ford. Ford's an excellent example. Ford had little or no education. His first mastermind was his wife, when he was working on the carburetor of the car and get the engine to fire, and she loaned him, let him have the money to get the parts to put that thing together. So she was his first financial backer. But and Ford, he got with such people as Harvey Firestone and John Burroughs and Luther Burbank and so forth, and it's just amazing. He said what evidence of power produces through friendly cooperation with friends.
Well, Don, I'm not sure where I got it from. I've been a devotee of Napoleon Hill for 45 plus years, and over the years, I wanted to help people, and I've passed on the concept of the Mastermind Group literally hundreds of times to friends and other people that I've tried to share it with. And I'd like to take this opportunity to give you my simple version of the Mastermind in action, and have you sort of take it from there. One of the things about the Mastermind Group that I've learned, I mean, there's so many variations of it, is what I'm trying to say. Once you learn to work closely with other people toward a common goal, and you recognize your own limitations, you can multiply the abilities that you have by enlisting the support of other people. And so here's how I kind of learned it at one time. It's like you're the center, the hub of a wheel. You're the cog in a wheel. And what you do when you create your own mastermind group is you surround yourself with people that you could call your personal board of directors, kind of after the corporate structure where there's a formal board of directors. And then the next thing is, when you have a board of directors that you choose, and each one of the people that you select should have expertise in areas that you yourself need more development. For example, when I started one of my businesses, I knew that sales wasn't my strong point, and that sales and marketing. So I enlisted a friend of mine named John Prince, and he was a sales and marketing expert. He was up there in New York, and he was working with a advertising agency on Madison Avenue. And so here's kind of how it works. One of the criteria of a successful mastermind group is that you have to have a genuine concern for the well-being and success of the people that you ask to be on your group, and that they have to share that for you, that they have to want you to be successful. Now, that's a beautiful thing to connect with people that want to be successful, that want you to be successful. But here's the trick. There's no exchange of money. You don't pay each other. So if I can get the services of a top Madison Avenue advertising marketing executive, it could be a $400 or $500 an hour consultant, to want to help me at no cost, hey, that's a beautiful thing. I'll save a lot of money. But here's the trick. You cannot accept someone to be on your mastermind group unless you can reciprocate and do something for them. Otherwise, it's just a consulting relationship. Do you agree with that premise so far?
Yeah, and it has to be an exchange. I've give talks exactly on what you're talking about. And of course, and sometimes to get people to work as a group, it doesn't have to be money. It can be a cause they have. Yours could be money, but theirs can be a cause. For example, I use Michael Jordan. I believe his last year he made $75 million. Now, if you was involved in something or other, and you wanted his cooperation, what have you, you would have to find something that's his that would interest him. And of course, it would not be money. I mean, you could pay him enough money, I guess, but a few thousand or whatever would mean nothing to him. But if you was finding something that involves something, he has a passion, like his old school in Wilmington, North Carolina, where he didn't even make a basketball team when he first tried out. Something or another he has a passion for. You know, people have passion for different causes. If it's something or other that'll promote something that they have a passion for, you can get their cooperation without money, and that's important. Is something that they are willing to contribute to help you. They have to be something for them. Also, you can't expect it to be a one-way street. Otherwise, you're just begging. You have to find out what to get their attention. I mean, just like I'm president of the foundation board here at the college and have been, and our students graduated last year with the lowest debt load of any four-year college in the United States. Quite an accomplishment. And I've been president of the foundation board for, I guess, 15 years or longer. And we're supposed to be in a poverty-stricken area, especially these last 8 years being a coal mining area. But you have to find out what people's interests are that's got money that's wanting to help you. And it's important to know that, because just to ask someone to help you, they get people every day. I mean, can you imagine how many contacts that some of them people get at wanting somebody to do something or another for them? And basically, it's a one-way street. They're wanting something or other, but they never think about what they can give back. That's where he'll explain it.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt there.
That's okay. He'll explain that. You know, if you want something or other, if you want corn, if you want something, you have to plant a seed. You have to do something to entirely to receive it. You know, if you want to raise corn, you have to first plant the seed. And if you want somebody to help you, you got to give them some reason to. Of course, you want their help, but if it's not an idea or something planted into their minds, you're not very likely to get it. But most people, it never enters them in their mind. What can I do them to entice them to help me? It's a two-way street.
I'll give you a real simple example of what some people would never realize how it can work. So, under the example of John Prince, the marketing executive that was helping me, so I needed his services, but I wasn't sure what I could give him.